welcome into segment number 3 of the Pewter Plank Recap. We are talking with editor of thepewterplank.com, Patrik Nohe, about yesterday's 16-13 win by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Atlanta Falcons. Now, these two teams, they meet the last week of the NFL regular season. Where do you see the Buccaneers at that time? Where do you see the Falcons? And what is the magnitude of that matchup week 17 in Atlanta?
I'll be totally honest. I think that matchup decides the division. That would be the ultimate decision for who wins the NFC South. I think the Buccaneers are growing. They're a team that has so much to strive to. They have so much talent. They are a very, very, very promising young team. And as they continue to grow, as they continue to get comfortable, as they continue to see top-notch competition, I think they'll be in real competition to win the NFC South. And I think it will come down to the last matchup. I think that the Saints are a very talented team, but they're a little bit gray, and they're a little long in the tooth. They're a little bit gray. I think they're going to, step back a bit in the pack. I think they might be a wild card contender, but I don't think they're on the level with the Bucs. I think it comes down to the Falcons and the Bucs in the last week of the season. And honestly, I think that that's one game that the Bucs can, if they play to the level of, if they play to their potential, they can win that game. I think they absolutely can win that game. They've got everything to build to. The Falcons aren't going to get that much better. They know what they've got on that team. They're one of the best teams in the NFC, but they're not building to anything. The Bucs, they have so much to build to. They have so much potential on that team. And as every week goes by and every win continues to come in for them, I really do believe that they're going to do a great job. I think they're going to be the team to beat the NFC South. And I really do think it will come down to the Falcons and the Bucs in that last game of the season.
Now, next week is the Monday Night Football matchup against the Peyton Manning-less Indianapolis Colts. This week, Donald Penn, the offensive lineman for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, came out with the quote that it's a good thing that the game started at 4 o'clock because the Bucs don't show up till 3:30. They did show up at 3:30. They did show up in the first quarter. They did show up in the first half, and it was very nice. Do you see them doing that again next week against the Indianapolis Colts? Even though they don't have, Peyton Manning, are they still a dangerous opponent for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and is it a game that could potentially slip away from them and even them out at 2-2?
Well, this will be one of those interesting games where the Bucs should win this game. There is no excuse for losing to the Colts, especially with Peyton Manning out. They have to win this game. They know what's in front of them. They know it's a talented team, but without the leader. And you have Josh Freeman. You have to step up. You have to win that game. Tampa needs to win this game coming up. Now, could I see them losing it? Absolutely. I've seen a number of games where some backup comes in, the team binds together, and they find themselves in the right situation to win. But if Tampa wants to be taken seriously, if they want to have a legitimate shot at getting to the playoffs and winning the NFC South, you have to beat the Colts. This is an opportunity to beat one of the top teams in football when they're down. And that's what the best teams in football do. It doesn't matter who you're playing against, it matters how they are. And if you can beat a team that's down, every top team in football can beat the team that's down. The Colts are without their quarterback. You know that coming into the game. You have to be able to put them away by a couple of scores. If you go 3-1 in the first 4 weeks of the season with a win over the Colts, a win over the Falcons, everyone is going to sit there and say, okay, this Bucs team can play. You've got the respect, and now you can just worry about week by week coming into it. But if they lose to this Colts team, there is no excuse. Curtis Painter, I don't mean to belittle anybody because, God forbid, I could not play at the position he plays at. I don't have near the skill level of Curtis Painter. But he is a horrible quarterback. And I don't mean to belittle the man, but he's terrible. He's just terrible. I've watched him play probably 5 or 6 games. He should not be able to beat an NFL team. And if the Bucs come in and lose to the Colts, then that's going to be your indication right there. They weren't ready. They're not the team we thought they were going to be. But the Bucs need to win against the Colts next week. They need to have a solid showing. Peyton Manning is out. Shouldn't really be an issue. If they can do that, they'll be 3-1 heading into the last 12 games of the week. Or 12 games of the year, and I think they're going to be in position to win and go into the playoffs and really impact for the season.
All right, we're going to end with one final question, bringing it back to today's game, the big-time divisional home game win against the Atlanta Falcons. Did you see anything offensively, besides Josh Freeman's leadership, that is going to give you confidence that the Bucs can move forward and beat the Colts, beat the NFC South, and make a serious run at the Super Bowl. Besides Josh Freeman's leadership, what else on the offense do the Buccaneers have that really impresses you?
You know, I've said consistently, and I will be completely honest, a large part of this comes from the fact that I am a Florida State University alumnus and that I've watched this school play for a long time. But Preston Parker is the best slot receiver on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. And I continue to believe that if he is given more opportunities to really, stretch his wings in the Buccaneers offense, if he's given more shots at catching the ball, he is fantastic. When he was in college, he was regularly compared to Percy Harvin. And the biggest knock against Percy Harvin in the NFL is the fact that he has a concussion. Well, Preston Parker does not have that issue. You saw him last week when he finally got a chance to start and play a full game. He had 8 receptions for nearly 100 yards and a touchdown, including a huge 3rd and 4 reception that pretty much sealed the deal against the Vikings. I think Preston Parker is hands down the answer for the slot receiver position. I really do think that it's Mike Williams, Desmond Briscoe, and Preston Parker are the top 3 receivers. And if you give those 3 guys the opportunity to run their routes without worrying about looking over their shoulders, I think that you're going to see Josh Freeman really come into his own this season. He has 3 fantastic receivers. He's got Aurelius Ben coming off injury, who is going to do nothing but improve and going to give him a legitimate deep threat. I really do think that this team has a ton of talent in their receiving corps, and a lot of it starts with Preston Parker. He's a very, very talented player. He should have been a first-round pick if he had finished at the Florida State University. Unfortunately, he was kicked out and was going to Alabama. But I think that that is one player that can continue to have success in the Buccaneers offense, and I think that, the Bucs are going to be very, very, very happy that they hung on to him through training camp over the last couple of years, because he is going to amount to a lot.
And of course, you can't forget the big guy tight ends that the Bucs have, because Luke Stalker looked very impressive today, and there is Kellen Winslow. So if Preston Parker can do what you say he does, and it's looking like he's going to, I see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a lot of weapons to kill a lot of teams. He's Patrik Nohe.
Stalker, he didn't come with a lot of fanfare in the preseason. He was hurt through part of it. He didn't get the opportunity to really show what he could do. But he's a very talented young man himself. And, if you can really legitimately put him opposite Kellen Winslow and put a 2 tight end set out there with the receiving ability I think they both have, that is unmatchable. You really can't say that you feel comfortable putting 2 linebackers on Stalker and Winslow and, also having a couple receivers out there. That is a really great matchup for the Bucs. They've got a ton of talent. You can't look at this Buccaneers roster and be disappointed with the potential they have. It's all just a matter of whether they're a playoff-ready team this year or whether it's next year. But regardless, this team has plenty to build on.
He's Patrik Nohe. He is the editor and lead writer over at thepewterplank.com. Hopefully we can do this next week. What do you think about that, Patrik?
I can't wait for next week, Josh. And honestly, we'll just announce this right now. You are now officially the assistant editor over at Pewter Plank. You will probably be taking my place by the end of the next football year. But you've done a fantastic job, my friend. I can't even begin to talk about how talented you are as a writer. And, anybody that's listening to this right now really needs to just follow you on Twitter, read all your articles, and get ready for you to start writing for a major paper, because it won't be long before you are the next big thing coming out of Fansided.
Well, thank you for those kind words, Patrik. That's taking me, kind of choking me up here. What a great win today by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Great words from the great Patrik Nohe. We will see you next week, Patrik, hopefully on the flip side of a Tampa Bay Buccaneers Monday Night Football win. We'll see you next week, Patrik. Thanks for stopping by.
I will talk to you next week. Have a good one.
All right, you too. And we will return quickly here on the Pewter Plank recap to preview what we haven't previewed about the next matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. And then we will let you on your way and you can get going with your morning. We will be back on the Pewter Plank recap.